Hey friends, it's Alex. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am going to be sharing with you all of the series that I am currently in the middle of, so ones that I've started and not finished. So this video is going to have two parts. It will be series that I can continue on with and I just haven't, and then series that I can't continue on with. So like they're ones that I'm up to date on, but the series itself isn't complete, so there are going to be more books, or there should be more books in some cases, I will get to that. But they're not out yet, so I can't continue on with them anyway, even if I wanted to. But I will dive straight in with the ones that I can continue. So these are ones where I've started the series and the next book is out, or even the whole series is out, but I have not yet carried on or finished it. But first up I have the First Law trilogy / the entire First Law world by Jo Abercrombie. I have read The Blade itself and that is it. I read this one, I think I finished it this month, and in this case, as I said, I've only just started it this month and I am reading it for Becca's catch-up book club, so I'll be carrying on with it on that schedule. So this one I'm not too worried about because I will hopefully just stay up to date with the book club and finish it by mid next year, I think it is. Next up I have Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. I'm not sure what this series is called, I think it might just be Grace and Fury duology. I'm not sure. Yeah, but this one is a duology, so there's only one more book left to read, so I have no excuses. I just need to get to it. It's been a very long time since I've read this book one, so I'm really hoping that I can find a recap for this book somewhere online and then I'll just be able to carry on with book two. I do remember really enjoying this one, and for whatever reason I just still haven't picked up book two. Next I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. The sequel to this one only came out this year, so it's not been out for very long. I'm probably going to reread book one. I know Beth and I were on about buddy reading book one as a reread and then buddy reading book two together. So I'll see if she wants to do that at some point this year, but if not, then I will just get to it when I get to it, I guess. I also have the Miss Marple series by Agatha Christie. I've either read 8 or 9 out of 14 of these books, and it's just a series that I'm sort of making my way through slowly. They don't have like an overarching plot throughout the whole series. Each book is its kind of own plot, so I don't really feel the need to read them back to back because I don't need to remember things from one book to the other. So I've just been picking these up as and when I'm in the mood. I find them really quick reads, and I'm hoping to finish the Marple series soon because then I'd like to move on to the Poirot series. I also have the Iscari series by Kristen Cicerelli. I never know if I say that name correctly. Again, I read this one a very long time ago. I have books 2 and 3 on my TBR. I just need to get to them. I really enjoyed this one when I first read it, so it is a series I do want to finish. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it now though, because I'm pretty sure it's YA and I've just grown out of YA, so we'll see how I feel when I finally get around to finishing this series, but I do remember really enjoying this one, so I really hope that I still enjoy books 2 and 3. And I think I've heard that they follow like different characters. I feel like they're more linked than say like the Marple series, but I think they follow different characters, so they're not super linked. So hopefully I will be able to just pick up books 2 and 3 and understand what's going on, but if not I will find a recap for this one as well. I also have the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I have the last book, which is, I forget, Chain of Iron I think. Chain of Thorns? One of those two. I can't remember which way round it is. I have not been super loving this series, but I've been carrying on with it because of how much I used to love Cassandra Clare's books, so I will probably get that one on audiobook maybe or something like that. But yeah, I do want to finish out this series, just know what happens, but I don't think it's going to become like a new favourite or anything. And again, hopefully I'll get to this one this year because I've only got one more book left to read in the series and that would finish off a series for me. Next is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I first read this book before it was a series, before anyone knew it was going to be a series, and I have found this one and Ready Player 2 on Audible, narrated by Will Wheaton, and I feel like I've heard good things about those audiobooks. So I've got those waiting to go on Audible, so I need to just, again, get around to them. So I will be listening to this one, rereading this one via audiobook, and then I will be reading Ready Player 2. I've not heard the best things about Ready Player 2, to be quite honest, but I still want to check it out anyway. I want to read it myself because I loved Ready Player 1, it was a 5-star book, so I want to check out Ready Player 2 and make my own opinions on it. I'm sure, you know, I know there's every chance it'll probably be exactly the same as the majority opinion, which is that it's not that great, or at least that's the majority opinion I've heard. But I still want to check it out myself anyway, after how much I loved this one. Okay, the next one, I don't know what the series is called, but the first book is A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. These are just a series of Christmas books. I have the last two, I just need to get to them. I will probably try and find the audiobooks and listen to them in December this year just to get the series off my TBR. I'm not super into middle grade, but I do love reading Christmassy books around Christmas, which is why I've picked up this series. And it fills that spot, it's Christmassy, it's a bit of fun. They're never going to be like my favourite things ever because I'm just not that into middle grade, but they're fun because they're Christmassy and that's all I want for them, or from them. I also have Raybearer by Jordan Ifweko. I absolutely loved this book when I first read it. 5 stars, it was amazing, I was obsessed. And the reason I've not carried on is because I would kind of like to reread the first book before I read the second one, and I'm just really bad at making myself reread books, so hopefully I will get myself to reread this book and then I can read the second one soon, hopefully. But it is definitely one I want to finish out sooner rather than later after how much I loved this first book. I also have Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I think this one counts. I've read all of the main trilogy, the first 3 books, and then I've read The Box in the Woods, so the only one I have left is Nine Liars, and it's like a standalone mystery but following the same character, so it sort of counts as part of the same series. I've been listening to these on audiobook. They're all on Scribd, so it won't be hard for me to finish off this series. I just need to get to it. I've got a long line of audiobooks, so I don't know when that will be, but I've really enjoyed them. I really enjoy the audiobooks. I find them really engaging, and they're just, you know, they're just a bit of fun. I thought I would enjoy this series more than I do because of how much I really love Maureen Johnson's, I think it's called Shades of London, the series. Yeah, Shades of London series. I really love that series, and I thought that I would love this series just as much, and I don't, unfortunately, but I do still have a good time reading it. They are fun. This next series, I'm not even sure at this point I am going to finish, and that is the Aurora Cycle by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I have the American editions of the first 2 books, and I can't for the life of me find the American edition of the 3rd book and anywhere that will ship it to me in the UK, so that's part of the reason why I don't know if I'll finish it. The other part of the reason is that I really enjoyed book 1. I think I gave it like 4 or 5 stars. I think I gave it 5 stars actually. And then book 2 I did not enjoy anywhere near as much. I only gave it 3 stars. It was still like really engaging. I find Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, when they write together, their books are so compelling. And it was, book 2 in this series was still really compelling, but it just had a plot point that I really hate, and it really, like, I really hate it, and it really, like, ruined the book for me in a way. And so I don't know if I even want to finish the series now. I don't know if I'm that bothered. I will probably keep an eye out for book 3, sorry, in the American edition, and if I can get my hands on it, I may as well pick it up and finish it off, but I'm not too bothered about it if I can't ever. Next series is another duology, and I think the series is called How to Be. This is How to Be a Normal Person. It's by TJ Klune. I read this one, I think I started it at the end of last year and finished it at the start of this year, or I may have just started and finished it at the end of last year. I can't remember now, but I really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. For some reason I just didn't think that I would like it as much as his more recent books, but it just was, yeah, it had the same sort of vibes. I just got really into it, way more than I thought I would, so I definitely do want to pick up the second book and finish out this series. Hopefully, again sometime soon, but we'll see, because I've said that about all of these series so far and there's only so much I can read. Next up I have another series that I don't think, or I'm almost definite I'm not going to finish, and that's the Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead. And the reason for that is because when these first started coming out, when I was still into this series, that was back when I lived in Australia, and so I was getting these editions. These are like Australian trade paperbacks, I think. They're much taller than the standard UK paperbacks, and they're not available here. So I was getting these editions. I have started the series. I've read at least the first 3, if not the first 4 books, but I can't quite remember. I think I've read the first 4 books, yeah. And then we moved here. I think that was before the last 2 books came out, and we moved here and I couldn't get them, and I eventually was able to order them from somewhere that was selling the Australian editions, and by then it had been so long since I'd read the first 4 books, and I've just kind of lost interest in this series. I'm not really into vampire books anymore, so even though I do have the whole series, I just don't think I'm going to finish it, but I'm also never going to get rid of it because I was obsessed with this series when I was younger. It was like Shadowhunters, Vampire Academy and Bloodlines and Twilight were like my 3 obsessions when I was younger, and even though I'm not really that into any of them anymore, I can't bring myself to get rid of any of them because of just the nostalgia around them. So I will probably never ever get rid of these, but I'm also probably never ever going to finish the series, which is sad, but it's just such a lot to reread if I decided to reread it, and I just don't think I'm that interested anymore. So next I have the Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy by Natasha Nyan. I would absolutely love to finish this series. I want to, again, reread the first book, which is why it hasn't happened yet because I'm terrible at rereading. And then I have books 2 and 3, and I remember really loving this book, so it is definitely one I want to get to soon. I just need to actually make the time to reread this series, or this book, so I can carry on with the series. Next I have the Jack Quest Jr. series by Matthew Riley. Once again, I don't want to reread them. I've read the first 4 books, I think, and there's at least 2 more out. That might be all of them. Or 3. There's 3 more out maybe. Either way, I've read 4 and I have more than 1 left to read, and I feel like I should reread the first few books, and they're books I'd like to reread one day anyway, so I'm not too fussed about letting this one sit on my TBR for a while until I finally get around to rereading them. I have them all, it's just getting around to it, but with this series I don't think I'm gonna not like them at any point in my life, so I'm happy to let them wait until I'm in a more of a rereading mood, or maybe I'll pick up 1 book a month and just try and get through them that way. But I just love these books. They're just so fun and ridiculous, and they're like, I don't read anything else like this. These are the only books like this I read, so I don't think I'll ever grow out of them just because it's already so unusual that I liked them in the first place. And I just read his books constantly, and I've reread some of his books and I've never grown tired of them, so yeah, I'm happy for this one to wait a bit longer. I'm less urgent on this one. Another one I'm less urgent on is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This kind of isn't quite a full series. It's just recently had a novella be released in this world, just a little short novella. So it's only that I've got to read to catch up. I don't own it yet though, which is why I haven't read it. But it's not going to be hard to catch up on this series, so I'm not kind of... I don't know, I feel like this would be a good one to have higher priority on because I only need to read a little novella to catch up, but yeah, it's not that high priority. It doesn't help that I don't own the novella, so I can't really read it anyway. I also don't think I love this book as much as everyone else. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favourite of her books. I actually enjoyed Enchantment of Ravens more, so I think that's kind of making me be a bit less like bothered about it, but I would like to get to it one day. Only 2 more series left. So I have the Mistborn trilogy, the like Era 1 Mistborn trilogy. This is The Final Empire. I read this book, I really loved it. I'm dying to carry on with the series. I just keep not getting around to it. They're all really chunky fantasy books, so I really have to commit some time to them, and I just keep not getting around to it. Thankfully, book 2 has a recap of book 1 in the back, so I can read that. I don't have to reread a, what is this, 600-page fantasy book. So I'm very pleased about that, but I would love to carry on and finish this trilogy because I want to carry on with the Cosmere as a whole. So I definitely want this one to be higher priority. I was meant to try and prioritise this series last year and I didn't. So hopefully this year will be my year, although with reading the first Lore World, we'll have to see. And then the last series in this pile is sort of a series, sort of not a series, and it's also another one where I'm reading the book that is outstanding as we speak. I'm not literally reading it now, obviously, but it's one of the ones I'm currently reading. But that is the Roots of Chaos series by Samantha Shannon. So this is a series, but each book within this series is a standalone, if that makes sense. They're all set in the same world, but their stories are completely separate from each other. So the book that is in this series that I haven't read is a prequel to this one, and it's set like 500 years in the past. So the stories don't really intertwine, apart from like a few little hints of things that are mentioned in here, like, oh, this happened in the past and now we're seeing it in A Day of Fallen Night. So yeah, sort of a series but sort of not a series, but I thought I would throw it on here anyway. And as I said, I am reading it, so it won't be one that will be on here for very long anyway. So those are all the series that I'm in the middle of that I can continue on with. Not all of them I am going to continue on with, like with Bloodlines and maybe the Aurora Cycle, but they're the ones that are fully out, or at least the next book is out, and I can continue on should I so choose. So they're ones that I would, as a result, like to prioritise and try and finish so that I can catch up on some of these series already, because I want to not have as many series that I'm in the middle of. And quite a few of them are duologies, or I've only got one book left, so it wouldn't take much to finish off these series. I just need to actually get myself to do it. So I also have this stack of series that I've started and can't continue because I'm up to date on them. The first two I'm going to talk about are the Shades of London series, which I mentioned earlier when talking about Truly Devious, and the Archived series. So both of these, as far as I'm aware, the author intended or wanted to have another book in the series, but they've just never been published, they've never been announced. I don't think they're going to happen at all. This one I'm not too bothered about because I enjoyed this series, but it hasn't really stuck with me, so I don't really mind if this never gets continued. If it did, I would read it 100%, but I'm not too fussed. This one I would kill for the last book. Maybe not literally, but I loved this series so much and I've just been waiting for the last book. I keep periodically checking to see if there's been an announcement and there never is. But that would make me so happy if this series was completed. Although again, I might end up rereading it and finding that it's not my taste anymore. But I do remember loving this like so much when I first read it. I also have Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. This one I'm not super too sure on, but I'm pretty sure he is going to be writing a sequel to this. I don't think he's started yet, or if he has, he's just not released much news about it, but I'm pretty sure there is going to be a sequel to this. I absolutely loved this book. I loved it more than The Final Empire, which I don't think is a very popular opinion, but that is my opinion. So I'd be really happy for another book in this series. I would also probably reread this book just because of how much I loved it. It'd be great to read it again. I have Heartstopper Volume 5 has been announced. I'm pretty sure it's coming out later this year. So I am going to read that straight away. It's a graphic novel series, so it won't take me long. And I'm very, very familiar with the story because I have read it many times. I've watched the show, which follows the first two, I think, graphic novels very closely, so it's a very good adaptation. So I don't know if I'll need to reread it, but even if I did want to, like I said, they're graphic novels, so it'll be very quick, and that will definitely be a series that I'll be finishing this year, I hope. Definitely, hopefully. Next up I have two Sarah J Maas series, Crescent City and ACOTAR. Both of these are going to have more books. I think this one's got a release date, the third book in this series is coming out in January. I don't know about this one, but they're both books I'm eagerly anticipating and will probably be reading instantly once again, especially after the ending of book 2 in this series. Wow. I also have One of Us is Lying, which is going to have a third book in the series, which was very exciting when that was announced. I think it's called One of Us is Back or something. I can never remember what it's called. I'm constantly checking and then forgetting. But I've read This one I've read, One of Us Is Next, I think the second book is called. I've read most of Karen M. McManus's books and I really enjoy them, so I'm definitely looking forward to the third book in this series. I don't really remember what happened in the second book, so I might need to find a recap and refresh myself on that, but I am looking forward to reading the third book. I also love her UK covers. They're always like white and the text is always in like a solid colour like that, and then it always has matching sprayed edges to the text, which I just love that so much. I think they're really pretty. I also have the Left-Handed Booksellers of London, which I'm pretty sure again book 2 is coming out this year, so this is another one that I'll be able to finish soon, and it's one I'm very much looking forward to finishing. Garth Nix is from the same city in Australia that I'm from, so that's always very exciting, and then just in general I did enjoy this book quite a lot as well, so I'm looking forward to getting the next book and finishing out this series. Pretty sure my camera's about to stop recording while I'm in the middle of talking about this last book, but that is the Thursday Murder Club. Again, the next book has been announced. I can't remember when it's coming out, if it's this year or next year, but I really enjoy this series and I'm just happy even more to come out, and I will read every single one. I listen to them on audiobook. I listen to them on, oh my god. I listen to them on audiobook and I always have a read. Yeah, I'm very excited for the next one. I think it does come out this year actually, but I don't know if I'll get to it this year because I get all the audiobooks from BorrowBox, the library app, so I always have to wait until the waiting list has gone down, and it's usually months. So I'll probably end up getting to this one next year, but yeah, this is another one I'm not like gonna rush to get to. Again, they're standalone mysteries, even though it's a series, so I don't feel the need to get to them while it's still fresh in my mind for the last book. And then I'm also just happy to wait for the audiobook, so I'm looking forward to the next one coming out, but I probably won't get to it straight away. So that's all the series I'm in the middle of, as far as I'm aware. There are 28 series there. Oh, I've just remembered another one. Okay, 29 series, and the other one is the, whatever the series is called with Magnus and Alec in the Shadowhunter world. The first one's the Red Scrolls of Magic. There will be another one of those coming out, so that's 29 series, I think. Did I just say? I think. So yeah, 29 series, but then 2 of them, as far as I'm aware, aren't going to be continued anymore, and 2 of them I'm not really planning on finishing. So 25 series that I'm in the middle of that I do want to finish, / can finish. But yeah, I want to try and get to some of these series and finish them, especially the ones where I've only got 1 book left before I finish the series. That would be really nice. So I don't think I'm going to make it my #1 priority for the rest of the year, but it is something I'm going to try and be mindful of and just try and get through some of these slowly. Maybe I'll do another video like this next year with all the series I'm in the middle of then, and hopefully the number will be lower and I'll have finished most of these or some of these. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, I'll update you on my series reading progress at some point. But yeah, that's it for this video. If there are any of these series that you think I should prioritise, let me know in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!